The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. WynnBET is now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. From boosted same-game parlays to live in-game odds, WynnBET has what you need to win. Sign up today, bet $100, and get $100 at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET. State restrictions apply. Roster brought to you by the College Basketball Experience. March Madness is heating up, and you need to subscribe to the College Basketball Experience. It's awesome, baby. Welcome, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Thursday, March 2nd, currently 11:17 on the East Coast. Here to discuss the 4-game schedule in the association, and joining me here to help me break down the betting card today, you guys know him as the man of the show, the newest voice this season on the NBA Gambling Podcast. It's Delonte Smith. Delonte, what's going on, my man?
What's up, man? Not bad. Not a good slate for us today, but still some opportunity to make some money. So looking forward to doing that.
Yeah, man, it's back to a 4-game schedule here in the association on these Thursdays. I know there's been a couple Thursdays. We've had a couple more games, but usually throughout the NBA season, we've seen it's really only sometimes about 3 to 4 games, usually on Thursday nights. But there's some pretty good games here tonight. At least 3 out of the 4 are pretty good here tonight. But yeah, we got the doubleheader on TNT with the Sixers and the Mavericks kicking it off first, and then the late second game of the doubleheader there's going to be the Clippers and the Golden State Warriors. So we'll get all 4 games. We'll talk about how we usually do here on the pod. But how did your day turn out yesterday, my man?
I didn't have much yesterday. I played the Lakers after the 80 news came down. Because I think that the Thunder are pretty much like going into the tank. I don't think they're trying to win at all. You can tell by some of the lineups they're putting out. I mean, they're still playing hard, obviously, but some of the guys that they're putting out on the court, lineup wise, it's just not positive UV. So I bet the Lakers. They came out, played well. It played extremely well, I thought, actually, and I think that's the only thing I played. Honestly, I was looking to play Brooklyn, but thank God I didn't because the Knicks rolled them. But other than that, man, I thought the Cavs and Boston was a good game. I think Boston just can't hold on to a lead. I'm actually worried about that when it gets to playoff time because they get a little bit complacent when they get those leads. I mean, as any NBA team would. I mean, if you jump out that early, but 17, I think it was 17 in the third. That's you got to kind of put the nail in the coffin against Cleveland, who is not the best offensive team, but they're not built to come back from leads like that, and Boston let them back in. So that's kind of worrisome for me because I got a Boston future also. So other than that, man, I thought it was a decent night last night. KD returned. I'm pretty sure you're going to hit on that. So I'll let you lead that off if you want to say anything about that.
Yeah, I mean, Boston last night, they were up by 13 with about 2 minutes and some change. Or no, it was actually like 1 minute and 18 seconds left. And then Cleveland in the final minute puts up 11 points in the final minute to get the backdoor cover. I mean, we talk about an ultimate backdoor cover. I think that's pretty much the definition of it. And if you were a Cleveland backer last night, you need to thank Darius Garland for what he did last night. He put up in that final minute 14, 2, 5, 8, 11 points for you in that final minute 18.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. But Boston does get the victory there, 117, 113. Don't get the cover, but do get the victory over the Cleveland Cavaliers. Great game for the Stars in this game. The Stars really shine. Jason Tatum bounced back nicely after a rough game against the New York Knicks. He had 41 points last night on 13 of 21 shooting. Donovan Mitchell, another great night, 44 points for him, 17 of 32 from the floor. And like you mentioned it last night, Delonte, I think the bigger news in the association was the return of Kevin Durant and his debut with his newest team, the Phoenix Suns. And he looked pretty good to me, man. I'm not sure if you caught any of the game, but how did he look for you?
I mean, KD is one of those players that can fit in seamlessly anywhere. I mean, simply because he's not ball dominant. He can play off the ball, which actually he's probably better off the ball, off those pin downs. I think he fits perfect into what Phoenix does. Um, I mean, they say he was on a minutes restriction, but I feel like he played a little more than what I thought he was going to play at least. But I mean, he looked good to me. He's just one of those guys who's going to score with ease for a long time. I mean, he's just the way their offense is predicated, and they got Devin. When you got Devin Booker coming off one side and KD coming off the other side, you kind of got to pick your poison on who you're going to guard. And I mean, he looked like he just wasn't injured at all. I mean, I didn't see him. He looks exactly like he did when he was in Brooklyn. Um, so yeah, I mean, they're gonna look scary. I like defensively what they were doing with him and Aiton, defending the paint. I think that's where he's gonna cause the most impact. But yeah, man, I thought he looked fine. I'm
Mhm.
excited to see Phoenix, get this thing rolling. They got a good month and a half to get some chemistry and build up that for the playoffs. But I thought he looked fine.
Yeah, I thought he looked good as well, man. Obviously when you miss about over a month
Mhm.
due to that type of injury with what was the thing, it was a MCL strain for Kevin Durant, but 27 minutes last night, 10 of 15 from the floor, efficient as usual as Kevin Durant is. Finished the game with 23 points. There was a little bit of a scare that he did go back to the locker room.
Oh, see, I didn't see
Uh,
that. I didn't see that.
yeah, but he did return obviously to the bench and then came back in the game as well. So another victory for the Phoenix Suns. I think this is a time right now where you probably, if you believe that this Phoenix Suns team is going to win the championship or at least make a run to the Western Conference Finals and possibly win the West, you probably want to get down on on them right now, because if these guys are healthy, I mean, pretty much their main four guys, DeAndre Ayton, CP3, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. The bench is still a little bit worrisome for me,
Yeah, me too.
but I think they still have enough there for them to, still be obviously a championship contender, because Lonzo, we know like the rotations really do shrink down in the playoffs.
Yeah. TJ Warren is there too, right? But he hasn't played. Is he still injured?
He played yesterday. He played
Oh,
about
he did?
13 minutes. Terrence Ross was the one that was out yesterday for them.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think it
So
was personal reasons.
was this TJ's first game back? Being back with the Suns, or has he played previously?
Let me see
I thought
here.
that was I know they were waiting for him to come back, and I thought that would be give him a bump with that second unit, because I mean he's a scorer. Him and Terrence Ross both and with that second unit
Yeah, this was
should give them some
actually
firepower.
his third game
Oh,
with
okay.
or playing for the Phoenix Suns, but it was his first game since the All-Star break. But he hasn't really gotten a lot of minutes either. It was 13 minutes last night,
Mhm.
and then the previous two games with the Suns, 8 minutes and 7 minutes. So
Yeah.
um yeah, I think this team is going to be good, man. Obviously, when you have a Hall of Fame point guard, CB3, Devin Booker, one of the best scorers in the league, along with one of the best players in the world, and Kevin Durant, I think this roster is just going to be fine. It's just, again, for like many other teams, Delonte, it's just, hopefully they can
Yep.
stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, and you saw, well, I didn't catch all of the game, but I caught basically like the first quarter and a half, and you could see how easy it was for Devin Booker, because KD's attracting all that attention.
Yeah.
So he's like one on one, and I mean, how often can he go one on one with another guy on the side like KD? It's getting easier for him, so that's just going to open up even more stuff. The one thing I am worried about is the backup point guard. I'm not really a believer in like Cameron Payne
Yeah.
or Shamit sometimes when they use. I thought they could use like another guard. I thought they could use somebody like Bones. I don't know. The offering price wasn't that high for him, so I thought they could use somebody athletic, young, who can get up and run with that second unit. But yeah, I mean, obviously they're going to be a juggernaut. Depth might be an issue, but I mean, like you said, the playoff rotations they shrink. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing them in the playoffs, and especially against Golden State, because I read Steph's coming back. It's
I
pretty
think
soon.
next week, right?
Yeah, on the road trip. Yep.
Yeah. So some good news for Warriors fans. Getting Steph Curry back
Yep.
possibly next week. You mentioned the Knicks, man. I mean, this team has just been a wagon so far since the All-Star break. They just dominated from the start
Mhm.
of this game at the tip-off. They win the game 142-118. At the end of the first quarter, it was 47-29. At halftime, it was 81-57. And I mean, that was pretty much it
Yep.
for the
All she wrote.
Brooklyn Nets. Yeah, look, they just haven't been very good defensively. I think they're starting to obviously regress. There's some excitement for a couple games there after the trade of Kevin Durant, but Defensively, if you're going to give up the amount of points that they've given up over these last couple of games since the All-Star break, I don't think they give 131 to the Bulls.
That's
They give
horrible.
yeah
That's like
to the
200 points for
Bulls.
anybody else.
Yeah. And then they had 129 they gave up to the Atlanta Hawks, and then 142 last night to the New York Knicks. So maybe something to keep an eye on for us, at least from a betting standpoint, that if this Brooklyn Nets team isn't going to be very good defensively, we'll probably just look at teams, opposing team totals to go over if this kind of continues here, Delonte.
Yeah, I'll be looking at it. I mean, I thought that there was going to be some value on Brooklyn, but I quickly learned that they have defenders. I mean, it's not like they don't have guys that can defend. Cam is a decent defender. Mikal Bridges made his money off being an elite defender. I know Ben Simmons is out, but one thing that he does do well when he's in is defend. And they got
Yeah.
Claxton on the back end. I mean, their defensive metrics are a bit skewed because of when they had the previous guys with KD and Kyrie that made the defense a lot better. Well, KD specifically, but yeah, man, I'll be looking at some of those team totals also. I don't. I think their odds to not make the playoffs is probably a good look if you can get the decent odds on it.
Yeah, me and Scott talked about them probably falling into the play-in tournament bracket there, and maybe possibly getting eliminated there. But I mean, if this kind of continues for them for the rest of the season, they're probably going to fall out of the playoff picture. They now fallen down to the 6th spot, and number 10 right now, the Washington Wizards.
I like the
They
Wizards.
are, yeah, they're 3.5 games behind the 6th spot, so they have a 3.5 game cushion. So
And
I don't know.
Toronto is where's Toronto? Like eighth,
Toronto's
ninth?
number 9.
Okay,
They're 1 game ahead of Washington, so big game tonight between
big
these
game
two
tonight.
teams.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll
big
get
game.
into that in a little bit here, but 6 through 10 are separated by 3.5 games, and then the play-in tournament bracket, Miami has a 3-game lead over the 10th seed, the Washington Wizards, and Chicago's only 1 game back of that 10th seed as well. I know they've been playing well
Yeah, they have.
after the All-Star break. Yeah,
Yeah, they have. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be one of the better playoffs that we've seen in a while, in a
yeah,
long time. With all those, I mean, withstanding health issues for both sides, Eastern and Western Conference. I think it's gonna be one of the better playoffs in the that we've seen in recent history.
yeah. Jake pointing out Nets to miss playoff plus 360. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that. I think
Man, I'll take that. I'll
Yeah,
take
I
it.
think we got to look if that means that the play-in tournament doesn't count, right? Because that's to get into the playoffs, right?
I think you gotta pretty much like read the wording of each book or wherever you bet it at. Because some places I've read where making the playoffs means like even if you make the play in and you lose, that's still not considered making the playoffs.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
but then I've heard other teams is if you're in the top 10, then you're technically in the playoffs. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's all depending on wording. So you got to make sure you just read or if wherever you're betting at that you read the fine print and you know make sure that you have the right verbiage going on in that bit.
Yeah. All right. Anything else from last night, Delonte?
Nah, Bucks freight train. That
Oh yeah.
freight train.
Back-to-back situation, man. They've been, I
Freight
think,
train.
undefeated against the
Yeah,
spread.
8-0-1 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're freight train. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't even know. And I mean, Jay Crowder's not being implemented. I like the way Joe Ingles is playing now. He's getting back to that, that role that he was in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
He's been able to be more of a facilitator, take Drew off the ball, so Drew can focus more on defense. I mean, Crowder getting implemented. I mean, they're just so tough, man. I want to see them in Boston in the playoff. I mean, in the like Eastern Conference Finals. But I mean, that's gonna be a hell of a series. I don't
Yep.
know if anybody want to step in front of Milwaukee right now.
Yeah. They have actually leapfrogged the Boston Celtics to be the number 1 seed right now in the Eastern Conference. Quietly, nobody's talking about it,
Right,
especially
right.
the sports media heads. But they have won 16 games in a row.
16 straight, yeah, and like some of those have been without Giannis, without
Yeah.
Drew, without Middleton.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're just freight training people, and they don't waste time with like teams they're supposed to beat. They go ahead
Yeah.
and put them away. They don't play around. I like how they're giving Giannis. They making him play hard for the first few, getting a big lead, and the rest of them they're not even playing around at all. Defense, elite defense. Sometimes I'm worried about their offense at times. They get a little stagnant, but I mean, you got Giannis on the floor, so I mean,
Yeah. I mean, the best player or one of the best players in the NBA, if not the best player in the NBA for sure.
Right.
Jake Sang says settled on the final 8 teams in playoffs for each conference after any possible play-in tournament has concluded. So
Oh, and that's plus 360? Yeah,
yeah,
I'll bet that. Oh, yeah,
yeah,
I'll bet
I
that.
think there's some definitely 100% some
Yeah,
value on that for sure.
right. Yeah.
All right, Delonte, before we get into the games here for tonight, let me tell everyone about our presenting sponsor. That is going to be WinBet. WinBet is the official online sportsbook of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. WinBet is active in a bunch of states, and there are a ton of ways to win, including live betting and same-game parlays, aka WinBet to build your own bet. March Madness is almost here, plus plenty of ways to win getting down on the NBA, NHL, and XFL. Sign up today to receive a special offer. Bet 100 and get 100. Limited state availability. And of course, for our DGens only, if you hit the biggest long shot parlay of the week, you get $1,000 free credit. There's so much to choose from. All you have to do is head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/winbet so they know that we sent you. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WINNBET. Offers subject to change. Terms and conditions at winbet.com. Must be 20 years or older and present. In the state where playthrough WinBet is available. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. We're also brought to you by the SGPN merch store. The merch store continues to add new items to the store every single day. Head over to store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com to get your favorite shirts, hats, sweaters, hoodies, all that good stuff. I think I just saw that they added a St. Patty's Day t-shirt on the merch store there. Shout out to Jake. I know Jake's been killing. He's in the chat right now with the merch store, man. Just a lot of great stuff happening there. The first half unders. If you've been with the DGens only army for long enough, you know the first half unders for the NCAA tournament, at least for the first round, are right around the corner. So make sure to check out the merch store. That's going to be store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com. And again, check out all the newest stuff that is being posted every single day over on the merch store. All right, Delonte, let's get into the games here, my man. 4-game schedule here. We'll go through it. First game on the schedule, it's going to be the Toronto Raptors visiting the nation's capital tonight to take on the Washington Wizards. This line opened up at a pick. That number's now been bet to -2 in favor of the Toronto Raptors. Total opened up at 226. That number's now down to 222.5. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, start with the Raptors here. Nobody of really significance. I know the main guys are all healthy and playing. A lot of guys that are on two-way contracts, obviously, that are out. But yeah, nobody of real significance. For the Washington Wizards, Monte Morris is going to be out for this game with lower back soreness. The Wizards do see the return of Kristaps Porzingis here tonight. I know he missed the last couple of games with some back issues, but he will be on the floor here tonight for the Wizards. Delonte, why don't you lead us off with a side here, man? Raptors -2 as a road favorite against the Wizards.
Yeah, I don't trust Toronto on the road. They are 12 and 18 ATS on the road. Their offense has not been playing as well. I mean, with some of those guys, you would expect them to be a little bit better offensively. They failed to score 105 plus in 3 of the last 4 games. And I mean, as we talked about earlier, the Wizards. I mean, I like the team, especially with Kristaps back. And actually, I think without him on the floor, they were like 7-4 straight up, if I'm not mistaken. So not bad without him. But obviously, they need the floor spacing and the shooting from him. I mean, he's not going to rebound as a big man would, but Wizards 1-2 straight up in ATS since the All-Star break. They don't perform as well at home, 11 and 16 ATS. But it's like their offense picks up a gear when they're at home versus when they're on the road. They're actually one of the few teams who have the exact offensive efficiency on the road and at home. But for whatever reason, when they're at home, they play faster and they're more efficient because they're 21 and 6 to the over at home, and they are 20 and 33 on the road. They went under. So it's kind of like Jekyll and Hyde. When they're at home, they play better offensively. When they're on the road, they don't play as well offensively, but they have the same rating, which is kind of odd to me. But Toronto's defense, I think, is a little bit like it's some smoke in the numbers. They haven't played against a lot of good offenses. They played New Orleans, who's 17th in offensive rating, Detroit 27th, and Chicago 24th. In that stretch, they played one good offensive team, which was the Cavs, and they lost by 25.
Yeah.
Now, the Wizards are not the Cavs offensively, but they are, top 11 in offensive rating. So I think that
Mhm.
they'll have some success tonight. I like the Wizards here a lot. I look for them early and often. 7-2, 7-2-1 ATS in the first quarter. Last 10 games. I think the Wizards can get it done here, man.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that the Raptors, number one, haven't played the greatest competition since, I mean, we go back even before the All-Star game, right? You mentioned the Magic, the Pelicans, the Pistons,
Mhm.
lost to the Cavs, and then Chicago, who, I think they were on a back-to-back in that game, if I'm not
Yeah, I mean they're
mistaken.
just not good offensively anyway.
Yeah,
For whatever reason.
yeah, and they are, I believe, 1-9 against the spread as a road favorite this season. Are the Toronto Raptors? So I do lean with the Wizards here at the +2 price. You know me, I love betting on home underdogs. Especially in the NBA as well. I know the Wizards ATS numbers at least don't pop off the page,
Yeah, they don't.
but I think with them getting KP back here tonight, obviously that's a boost for you. Daniel Gafford has been playing well for this team as well. Obviously, you have Bradley Beal, Kyle Kuzma, and those guys. So I think this game will probably come down to the wire. I think the line is obviously indicative of that, where it's only a 2 point spread right now for the Toronto Raptors. So I'll lean with the Wizards here, plus the 2 as well. Did you say anything about the total there, Delonte?
I see somebody in the chat was talking about first quarter over. Absolutely. First Wizards best first quarter over team in the NBA. Like I said, they play their offense picks up at home. They're not their numbers, their ATS numbers are a bit skewed because they played a large portion without Bradley Beal. They played some without Kuzma. They played some without Porzingis. So guys in and out of the lineup. I mean, still no excuse for ATS, but I mean they probably would have been better if all those guys are healthy. I'll get those numbers on when all three of those guys are in the lineup and playing. I'm pretty sure I can find it out there somewhere. But as far as the total, I lean over. I
Yeah, I
think
do too. Yeah.
I think it's
Uh,
going to be a lot of offense, and with the Wizards they don't. I mean, the Raptors they don't have a clear advantage other than being able to turn teams over.
mhm.
They are, and the Wizards are not good in transition. They're 29th in points per possession in transition, and the Raptors don't look to run, but when they have steals and live rebounds, they're one of the better teams in transition. So if the Wizards can slow that down, which I mean numbers show that they're not, I think it'll end up in a track meet because Toronto's going to have to they're going to have to run to score some points because I don't think they'll be able to score in the half court. So I like the over. I like the first quarter over, and I like the Wizards.
Yeah, Wizards first quarter, last 10 games at home, 7-3 to the over. Last
Mhm.
5 games, it is 4-1, and the last 3 games, 3-0 to the over in the first quarter. So,
In real game.
yeah, I think that's a great find there on the first quarter over. I do like that. I'm gonna write that one down. Let's go over to some player props here, man. You anything as far as player props in this game?
I like a few. Bradley Beal over 22.5 points. Getting Porzingis back, talked about opens up that space and driving lanes for him. We know that he operates in the mid range and at the rim. The Raptors bottom 5 in defending mid range shots. They don't have a rim protector, so he should be able to get to the rim with ease and pull up from free throw line. Uh, he does worry me sometimes that he just sits on the like he's not as aggressive as he once was. I don't know what's his deal or what he looks like he's just complacent with giving the ball to Kuzma and letting him do his thing. But I think tonight he has a good game. I mean, he's going to have to against that Raptors. The Raptors have multiple decent defenders that can throw at him, but I think he has a good night. Daniel Gafford points and rebounds over 16 and a half. I think that's way short. I know Porzingis is back, but I mean he's gonna have to control the paint. He's been playing well. He's had double doubles in his last 2 games. I mean, and the Raptors have allowed opposing centers to have 10 plus rebounds in each of the last 4 games. That includes two in one game with Bagley and Wiseman. I think Bagley had 18, if I'm not mistaken, and Wiseman had 10 in one game against when they played Detroit. So yeah, man, I like Gafford over 16 and a half points and rebounds. Think he has a good night, and I like Beal over 22.5 points.
Yeah, I took Bradley Beal's over assist here tonight, over 6.5. Especially with Monte Morris being out. I like you mentioned, he's trying to be more passive. I don't know why for Bradley Beal, but maybe get Kuzma involved, and now you get KP back. Obviously, that only helps the offense, but you kind of like to take a look since the start of the second half of the season. He's had 8 assists, and 7 assists. Has Bradley Beal, so he's kind of taking on that point guard role, kind of facilitating the offense for the Washington Wizards. I do see that number at 6.5 at plus 105. I loved it at plus odds here, so I'm going to take that as one of the player props. Um, on the Raptors side, Jakob Poeltl, since they have picked him up,
Mhm.
and I was mentioning this to some of my guys offline that if you kind of take a look at his game log, as far as steals and blocks go, he's gone over 2.5 in every game as a player for the Toronto Raptors, except for the first game, which was against the Utah Jazz, where he only played 17 minutes. But since then, he's gone over 2.5 blocks and steals combined in let's see here. That's 6 straight games. That number is now sitting at plus 155 for him to get over 2.5 steals and blocks combined here. So that was a prop that I really did like. So 2+ money props in this game.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at that. I'm gonna write that down also.
Um,
I think Pirtle's an underrated defender as a big guy. I mean, that's
yeah,
he's really good. One of my best friends and my cousin, he's a big Spurs fan. I used to tell him like, man, you gotta watch what some of the things that Pirtle does. I know he's not on a winning team, but some of the things he does, it leads to winning basketball. Which I'm surprised he wanted to go back to Toronto.
yeah.
I would have loved to see him like in Golden State. Like he could have been like the Andrew Bogut of that defense, man.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it is what it is. I heard that him and Siakam are like BFFs. So
Yeah. Rebounding. Sorry, I was just reading here. Jakob Poeltl rebounds. One of the listeners pointing out at 8.5.
mhm.
I see actually a. Let's see. Was it 7.5? I just saw. Was it? No, yeah, 8.5. Yeah. I mean, we talked about the Wizards do give up the rebounds to that center position, so I would definitely look at his rebounds here tonight. I think this might be a good game here tonight for Jakob Poeltl for the Toronto Raptors. So yeah, I'll co-sign that on his rebounds here tonight.
Yeah, I've been on Pirtle since really since he got back to Toronto.
Yeah. All right, let's get over to the next game of the night here, Delonte. We got the first game of TNT, the Philadelphia 76ers in Dallas here tonight to take on the Mavericks. This line opened up in favor of the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm sorry, the Dallas Mavericks. -3. That number's been bet up to -4 now. Total opened up at 230. The number's been bet down slightly. I see 229.5s out there as well as 229s. Looking at the injury report for the Philadelphia 76ers, not yet one submitted. They did play last night in the South Beach in Miami, where they did get the victory there. Obviously, Joel Embiid did not play in the game, thinking that maybe he plays here tonight because they are in a back-to-back here. For the Dallas Mavericks, pretty clean injury report. Davis Bertans is going to be out here tonight with a left calf strain. Dante, why don't you lead us off here with the side here right now? Dallas Mavericks laying 4 points, hosting the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah, I like Dallas better on the opener. I laid 2.5 on the open, just strictly off of thinking that Embiid won't play at all. I'm not sure if they're trying to just preserve him for later down the stretch when they get into the Eastern Conference. Because I mean, this is an out of conference game, so I mean, while it does mean a little, it's not as much as those division and conference games. So maybe he takes the night off. And I mean, Harden was in Miami last night, so who knows? He might still be there right now. So you never know. But the Philly, they are really good off back-to-back, 5-2-1 ATS off back-to-back. I like the spot for Dallas. I don't trust them to lay points to a good team, and I do think Philly's a good team. They're Mavs 11-19-2 at home.
Yeah.
ATS 13-28-2 as a favorite. ATS. I mean, it's going to be a low possession game. Both teams are elite in the half court. Dallas is first in half court points per play, but Philly's defense is fifth defending the half court. And with Embiid on the floor, it's hard to tell. With or without Embiid on the floor, dictates their game. They're more free flowing when he's off the floor because they don't have to, wait for him to post up or things like that. So in the half court, they're seventh in points per play. Dallas is not a good half court defense, so that worries me also.
Yeah.
But I like the spot for Dallas here. I'm hoping what happens is that we can get the Embiid news that he's actually playing when they submit that injury report, and it could just get back down to maybe like 2.5. Try to stay under a possession. So that's what I'm looking for again. So I'll be looking at Dallas. Maybe look for them early on also. With both of with those guys coming from Miami. I know Harden took him out for a good time, so maybe look for them to come out a bit sluggish and play the Mavs early if the number doesn't come back down.
Yeah, Philly is 5-2-1 against the spread in
Mhm.
back-to-back games
Mm.
here. 6-2 to the under in back-to-back games. If Joel Embiid does play here tonight, I man, it may be square, but I do like Philly in the spot. I just don't trust this Dallas Mavericks defense. Ever since they made the trade for Kyrie Irving, they're kind of bottom four in the league as far as defensive metrics go over the last 7 games. And I'm going back to 7 games because I think that's how many games that Kyrie's been with the Dallas Mavericks. They're number 25 as far as defensive rating, 119.8. They're dead last as far as points allowed inside the paint. They just don't have a guy in the paint that can, keep opposing big men out. And if Joel Embiid does go here tonight, I wouldn't be shocked if he gets into the realm of 40 to 45 points here tonight. So, um, maybe if he does go tonight, you possibly maybe not see Harden if he gets a night off here, but kind of want to see how many minutes last night some of these guys played because I feel like it was more of a blowout than it was a competitive game like we saw on Monday night between those two teams. So, yeah, the starters did play heavy minutes. James Harden played 37. Maxey had 38. Tobias Harris played 35 minutes. PJ Tucker 19. DeAnthony Milton, I'm sorry, 32 minutes. So I'll wait for the Joel Embiid news.
Mhm.
Again, if he does play, I'll be on the Sixers shirt tonight. At least for his points prop. But I can't get behind a team that just not doesn't defend here, Delonte. I mean, you mentioned it that this defense for the Dallas Mavericks is just not very good since they did make the trade for Kyrie. Thoughts on the total here? It's currently sitting at 229.
Yeah, I'd lean under. With both teams playing half court, slow pace game. The Mavericks are literally the worst team in transition. They don't look to run at all, and it's
Mm-hmm.
by a wide margin. Like their transition offense is horrible, and they don't defend well in transition. Probably because of that. Um, and if Embiid is there, then obviously we know that they're going to slow the pace down. So I like the under. I don't think it's going to be a lot of points. The Mavericks, man, for them to have Kyrie and Luka, they just those guys they look like they just don't know what to do. Like they're scared to do what they do because the other's gonna get mad. Like if you look at some of the body language that not saying that they're like arguing or whatever, but it's just like they don't know what to do and how to be themselves just yet. So I think it's gonna take some time. Jason Kidd is not helping him with the lineup that he's putting out there. I mean, he has Christian Wood, uh, just some non-shooters and non-playmakers out there other than Kyrie and Luka. So I'm interested to see how they look going forward. I'll probably be betting against them in the playoffs no matter who they play. So um, I think that the total goes under. Long story short, I think it goes under.
Yeah, I mean, look, back-to-back situations, like I mentioned, Sixers 6-2 to the under. They are, like you said, Delonte, the slowest paced teams in the association are Dallas number 29 and then Philly number 27. And again, these are pretty good 3-point defenses as well. I know those numbers may have changed. These are season-long numbers I'm looking at, but Dallas number 1 as far as opponent 3-point makes allowed. Philly number 2. So when I was initially looking at it, I thought that I did like the over, but I think when I'm diving more into the numbers here, I'm leaning towards the under. But again, Dallas's defense, I mean, we saw it the other night against the Pacers where they gave up
Mhm.
124 points, but
Easy
um,
too. The Pacers were
it was
getting whatever
easy
they
for them
wanted.
inside the
Easy,
paint. Yeah,
real
so
easy. Yeah.
I think that if Joel Embiid does go here tonight, I'll be on his player props. I was getting into some player props here. I didn't have any player props for this game. Again, obviously, the no Sixers props yet. But if Embiid does play here tonight, I think it's a big game for him. LG pointing out, yeah, if Joel Embiid plays over 10.5
Good play.
8 rebounds and
Yep.
easy cash, yeah.
Yep.
I
That's a
wouldn't be
good play.
surprised if that numbers opens up at 11.5 for him if he does get ruled in tonight. But did you have any player props you like for this game?
I like Kyrie over 22.5. He didn't play well. He hasn't played well the past few games. I don't know if the shoulder's bothering him or what, but he was getting good looks. He just wasn't hitting them. And
Yeah.
they had a chance. I don't know if you watched it, but they had a chance to win the game. Well, to tie the game, and he shoots like a step back three, which was dumb because he could have just blew past the defender, but he missed it. He was getting good looks. He was just missing. I think that was more so a Luka game. It was his birthday, obviously. So
Mhm.
I think he took a bit of a backseat to him. So I think he comes out tonight and with some tired legs by the guards. You don't want tired legs standing in front of Kyrie, so I think he has a big night. That's the only player prop I had. I mean, I'm trying to see where Embiid is, so I can pivot to some of his props and maybe some other guys.
Yep. Definitely. We'll wait for the MB news for sure. All right. Before we get into the last two games of the night here, let me tell everyone about the newest sponsor on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and that is going to be Talkify. Life is full of what if. So, what if you are trying to meet something new or someone new, and try something new when it comes to dating, and it hasn't been working for you? You're tired of swiping life or swiping left, I'm trying to say, or swiping right. It just hasn't worked out for you. Talkify is a new way to meet other serious singles. What if they can help you out and really get you going in your dating life again, because maybe you're deflated about it and just hasn't worked out for you, and you've had friends that try to set you up and those haven't worked out either. Let Talkify help you out. And if you're having a hard time meeting great people to date, um, we're tired of using the same methods, right, over and over again. It's time to say goodbye, like I mentioned, to swiping, and bring back the human touch to dating with Talkify. Confidence, it's a key in everything that we do, right? Especially when it comes to dating. But if you've struggled to find worthwhile connections, it can be difficult to feel your best when meeting new people. With Talkify, you feel confident that you're meeting someone special who was picked just for you. Talkify is the country's #1 modern matchmaking service that is designed to help you achieve relationship goals. Their trusted compatibility specialist hand select successful and compelling candidates so you can date consciously and productively. Here's how it works. The Talkify matchmakers meet with you to learn about what you're looking for in a partner. Then they'll select and screen potential match candidates for you, doing checks, video interviews, asking the tough questions that are sometimes too awkward to ask on those first dates. And then from there, your matchmaker plans your date, introductions, and handles all the communications for you, creating a safe and stress-free dating experience. Talkify is committed to finding your match. 80% of clients met their person within the first 12 matches. So right now, Talkify is offering our listeners 20% off when you become a client at talkify.com/SGPN. That's TAWKIFY.com/SGPN for 20% off when you become a client. Talkify.com/SGPN.
You might find some good betting advice from some women or men out there too. On that.
Yeah, you just might, man.
You might.
If you just put in that you're a sports fan, that
Yeah.
matchmaker may just help you out.
Hey, it's gonna skyrocket, man. It's gonna
Yeah.
skyrocket.
All right, let's get over to the next game of the night here, Delonte. We've got this one probably pretty quick for me, at least. Pacers at the Spurs here tonight. Looking at the opening line for this game, the Pacers opened up as a 4-point favorite. That number's now been bet up to -5.5. Total opened up at 241. That number's been bet down to 238 in this game. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, for the San Antonio Spurs, Malachi Branham is questionable here tonight. He did leave the game against Utah with a lower back injury. Keldon Johnson questionable. Trey Jones is also questionable here tonight. Romeo Langford, Isaiah Roby are all out here tonight. Devin Vassell is probable. He's back after missing, I think, I want to say close to more than 2 months here.
I'm surprised he's coming back.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. For the Indiana Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton is questionable here tonight with the right calf soreness. And that is pretty much the only significant injury for the Pacers. Spurs break their 16-game losing streak in Utah. Maybe it's time to start a new one because they are obviously, quote unquote, tanking for the sweepstakes of Victor Wembanyama. Is it as easy as we take the Spurs here, or sorry, the Pacers here tonight? Delonte, are you back in the Spurs at home?
Man, it looks easy. It does. I mean, the Spurs, they got their win. That solidified them not having a losing month, because they would have lost every game in February if they didn't win that game against Utah, if I'm not mistaken. So I think they get right back on track and lose this one. But I don't know if the Pacers can go out and win as a road favorite. I don't have the numbers as a road favorite. I should have been better prepared and had those, but I'm pretty sure it's not good.
It's 2-1. It's only been 3 games.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously because they haven't been favorites on the road as much. But their offense has looked a lot better. There's a lot more flow, a lot more fluidity. They've covered 3 straight games. 2 of the last 3 have went over, which goes to show that they're playing well offensively. They want to get out and run. They're first in points per possession in transition and third off of steals. So if they can get out in space and get Hadley with the ball, I think they can. I think they can win by margin, but I just don't know just yet. The Spurs, if you want to play the Spurs, I would play them first quarter or first half. They 6-4 ATS in the first quarter, the last 10 games. But I do lean to Indy full game. Something if I'm on the fence about what I usually do, wait till the Spurs get up, 7 or 8 points, or even if they're leading after the first half, and then boom, or after the first quarter, and then boom, just take the Pacers live.
Yeah.
I know that's not betting etiquette or proper way to handicap, but it's just something that you have to look at when you don't have an angle in the game. I don't have anything strong. I lean to the Pacers side, but I'll likely be on the Spurs in the first quarter. I don't know about Halliburton's injury. I seen he was on the injury report, but
Yeah, he's officially questionable.
yeah, so I'm not sure. We just have to wait and see because I mean, obviously without Halliburton, we've seen what this team looks like. So whether
Yeah.
it's the Spurs or not, but yeah, I'll lean to the Pacers. I'll be on the first quarter. Spurs for sure. I think they've been playing well, especially if they get Vassell back. I like some of the things that Devontae Graham is doing. He's going to shoot the ball. They're a high variance 3-point team. If they're making them,
Yeah.
they can contend. If not, they're going to probably get blown out. But I don't know if the Pacers are a blowout worthy team on the road, especially.
Yeah, shockingly, the Spurs are 8-6 against the spread after a win this season. So take that for what it's worth. But yeah, I mean, I don't want anything to do with this game. I think this is what the stay away game of the night here. Without Halliburton, I'm not sure. I think obviously Matherin will probably have a big game without him. We've seen Nimhard have a couple big games without Tyrese Halliburton in the lineup. Since he had missed that time, I believe with that was it the shoulder injury or wrist injury?
Yeah, I think it was
for Hallie.
something. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it was a shoulder.
Yeah, so maybe Spurs early, and then you like Delonte said, if you want to come back, if they are covering the spread, and that if they cover that first half spread, do the Spurs. Maybe they lay down a little bit in the second half.
Oh no, they will. They will.
Yeah,
they will.
Any thoughts on the total here?
Over. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think that Spurs defensively are one of the worst in the NBA. The Pacers, it's all Hallie dependent, but even without Hallie, I think they should be able to put up some points. I mean, Miles Turner has been on a tear. I don't know if you looked at his numbers. He's been on a tear. I like how he's playing. Even Jalen Smith defensively has been playing really, really well. I was kind of high on him when he came out of Maryland. I thought he could do some things defensively and stretch the floor, but it just hadn't panned out. Being on the Suns and moving around a few places. But I think he's found a decent home, playing good basketball. I like the offense the offense as of late for the Pacers. Now the Spurs, I mean, they don't have a good offense, but with Vassell back and Keldon Johnson both playing, then I think they, will get a boost. So I like the over here.
Yeah, I can't not taking over here either. Both these teams are top 10 in pace as far as the season goes. San Antonio number 6, Indiana number 8, and then San Antonio the worst team defending the paint this season, allowing about 56 points per game in that span. So I think it might be another big game for Miles Turner. I'm sorry, like you mentioned here, he's just been on a tear as of late. So I know he likes to jack up the 3-point shots. He can make them as well, but I think that he should have some success aside as well if he wants to against the Spurs team. And both these teams are not very good at defending the 3-point line either. Indiana allowing 37.2%, which ranks number 24. San Antonio Spurs 39.5, which ranks dead last. And both teams are allowing close to 13 makes per game to the opposition, which ranks well below league average in both for both teams in that category. So maybe if you want to take like some 3-point props here tonight, but I really didn't dig into any player props in this game here. Delonte, do you have anything?
Yeah, just going back to the Spurs first quarter, Indiana worst first quarter team. First quarter ATS team, 19-43, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me see if I can find it.
I think it's 19-43, if I'm not mistaken. They basically covered the open for the first quarter, and covered the close for the first quarter against the Mavs, but didn't cover the open. It opened 1.5, got bid up to 3, and they landed right in the middle. It landed 2.
Yeah.
But
20, 42, and 1 or 19-43, depending on the number. But it's right. It's the worst in the league.
They're horrible
by far.
So, yeah. But so I like Buddy Hield over 15.5 points, especially if Hallie doesn't go. The Spurs, like you mentioned, dead last in defending the three. I think he breaks out. He's in a bit of a slump. He's failed to score 10 points in the last 2 games. He only had 2 field goal attempts in 30 plus minutes last game. I'm not sure what that was about. But I think the Pacers are going to look for him early and often with the lack of perimeter defense for the Spurs. They don't have his props out just yet, but look at Jordan Noor. He's had 15 plus in the last 2 games, playing extremely well, efficient. He's over 60% from the field in both games. Um, if Hallie's in, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lower point total. But if he's out, I still like it both ways because I think he has gave him a spark since coming over. I like Noor a lot. I like him coming out of Louisville. I think he's a decent scorer. And the Spurs not going to defend it at all. So I think Jordan Noor has a good game. Also, I just don't see any of his numbers out just yet.
Yeah, I watched him. I was watching the game between the Mavericks and the Pacers the other night. Yeah, he was getting up some shots, and he was definitely getting some playing time for sure.
Yeah, he looked good
for this Pacers team. So yeah, only 2 players I see player props for right now is Buddy Hield and Miles Turner as of, and also Aaron Nesmith. But for the Spurs, I only see Jeremy Sohan and Zach Collins. So a very limited menu right now for the player props in this game. Anything else for this game?
No, but not at all.
All right, let's get over to the last game of the night, possibly the game of the night here. We've got the LA Clippers headed to the Bay Area to take on the Golden State Warriors. Looking at the opening line for this game, the Clippers opened up as a 2.5-point road favorite here. That number has now been bet up to -4. Total opened up at 235. That number's been bet down to 231.5. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, for the Clippers, pretty clean injury report. Everybody is a go in this game. For the Golden State Warriors, obviously no Steph Curry. Jordan Poole is probable here tonight. He's dealing with a left knee contusion. Andrew Wiggins is going to be out for personal reasons. Andre Iguodala is out. And I think I already said Gary Payne II is going to be out in this game as well. Delonte, Clippers, ever since they signed Russell Westbrook, 0-3, haven't been very good on the defensive side of the basketball. Warriors, they've been trending water, man. They've looked pretty good in the short stint here without Steph Curry. With the leg injury that he is dealing with, they did have it come from behind victory in their last game. I believe was it the Timberwolves in that game that they faced?
Wait, they had like a 33-19 quarter against the Blazers.
The Blazers, yeah, that's what it is. I'm sorry. Yeah. So, they've won a couple of games in a row here, have the Golden State Warriors. And then obviously we talked about at the top of the show, they will be getting hopefully Steph Curry back as early as next week. So they come into this game on a 3-game winning streak here, dude. The Warriors are Delonte, and the Clippers are on a 3-game losing streak here. Which way are you going tonight?
Yeah, I'm leaning to the Clippers. I don't love it, obviously, but I think it's a good spot for them. They've been the result of some bad luck. I think some bad variance. I don't think they're playing extremely bad. I just think that I don't know, for whatever
they're having
reason.
a hard time closing games. That's just what it is.
Yeah, and I don't know if Lou just doesn't know. He doesn't have the handle on the lineups yet. That's what I think. So he's playing some guys who don't bode well with each other. Like you can't play Bones, Eric Gordon, Kawhi, and PG at the same time because who's gonna initiate the offense? We don't have a point guard to defend. Bones is not a distributor. Eric Gordon is not a distributor. So you got 4 guys looking to score. There's no really glue guy out there to help solidify things. So some of the lineups I think he has to work on, but I'm really worried about the Jordan Poole injury for the Warriors. I know he's probable, but I think I saw him favoring it a lot whenever he was playing against the Blazers. I think that's one of the reasons why they fell down early was because he was kind of hobbled by that. But it's really no metric to lean either side. I think both teams are pretty even. With or without Steph, I think they're pretty even. The Warriors, like I said, like a couple podcasts ago, the reason they're turned around is not because of what they're doing offensively. I know Clay has been, a flamethrower as of late, but their defense is incredible right now. They have basically bolted back into, defending like the Warriors, like we're used to seeing the Warriors defend. And this is without Wiggins, which is possibly probably their best on-ball defender. And if I'm not mistaken, is he back tonight?
No, he's out.
Yeah, so even without Wiggins, they're still defending at a high level. They've allowed 105 or under in the last 3 games. We all know their splits, home road splits are basically massive. I like the Clippers here to get it done. They're just like you said, they just can't close out games. They do have to defend the three a lot better. They're 25th in non-corner 3-point percentage defense. So we all know Clay likes that. You know, I don't know the left to the right. I don't know if you want to call it a hash or he likes that 3-pointer a lot.
Yeah.
So coming off
Mhm.
coming off that Draymond pick and roll or coming off that dribble handoff. So they got to defend that if they want to have a shot. Uh, I don't love it, but I'm gonna go with Golden State here. I mean, with
Yeah.
the Clippers here. I'm sorry, with the Clippers.
Yeah, this is the front end of a back-to-back for both teams here actually here tonight. So, expect maybe some of these guys to sit tomorrow night. The Clippers have, I believe it's the Kings tomorrow night, and then the Warriors have the Pelicans tomorrow night. But yeah, I'm leaning with the Clippers here as well. I think they can, break their home winning or sorry, break the losing streak here. I think the Warriors. You kind of take a look at who they've played. Okay, the Rockets. I mean, everybody's beating the Rockets right now. They had a come from behind victory against the Minnesota Timberwolves, but that could
They
have
were
been a
getting
big.
dominated early though. They were
Yeah, and that
they,
was
they were
all
getting
Nas Reed in that
dominated.
game too. Yeah.
Yeah, they were getting dominated.
So and then that was a game where Anthony Edwards didn't play well either. And then I think the Portland game was the second night of a back to back for
Yeah,
them, if
they
I'm
were
not
getting dominated
mistaken.
there too.
Yeah, off the Dame 71-point game. So I think you get a desperate Clippers team here tonight. I think this is an opportunity, especially in a division game, for them to come in and just take care of business. 2 weeks ago, these two teams did match up, and I think, I believe the Clippers did win that game rather easily against the Golden State Warriors. Trying to see that exact score here. Let's see. Yeah, on back on Valentine's Day, actually. 134, 124 victory for the LA Clippers in that game. I think Steph Curry did not play in that game either. So I like the Clippers here tonight. I maybe take a look at their team total here tonight as well to go over. I feel like this is a game where um, they should be able to make some shots here, maybe get some easy baskets around the basket. Kawhi Leonard has just been playing at an absolute high level for this Clippers team. So I'll go with the Clippers here. -3.5. I think it's starting to move towards -4 here. Any thoughts on the total here, Delonte?
Yeah, I like the under, but I like your angle for the Clippers team total. I don't know if that's definitely not correlated, but both defenses have been playing well outside of the Kings game. I think the Clippers have been playing pretty decent um, defensively. It's just guys are just hitting shots. I mean, they're
Yeah.
just like they got hands up. They're playing good defense. Guys are just hitting shots. I mean, it happens. It's the NBA, but I think I touched on Golden State's defensive uh improvement. So I think that both teams will be able to, score, but not as often as they would like. And one of the things that bodes well for the Clippers is their weakness is transition defense. They
Mhm.
are basically one of the worst transition defenses in the NBA. But the Warriors, they don't look to run. You would think the Warriors team would love to run, but they're 26th in points per possession in transition. So I think that if the Clippers are going to have to slow it down, play a half court game, which bodes well for them. The Warriors, they don't defend the mid range very well. They're actually dead last in mid range percentage defense. So Kawhi Leonard should have a big game.
Mhm.
So I like him over 24.5. I know we're going to transition to the props, but
Yeah.
I like the under a lot here. I'll bet it 234, 233.5. What is it? 232 now?
231.5 right now on
Yeah,
win
I
bet.
wouldn't bet it at 230. But anything if it gets back to 232, I'll bet it under.
Yeah, so player props, you mentioned Kawhi Leonard. That last game, he had a really good game against the Warriors. 33 points in that game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. I believe he was 7 of 9 from 3-point line as well. And he's been knocking down the 3-point shots
Yep.
for the Clippers here. Last 5 games, he's shooting it at 57.6%. He's hit 3 or more in 4 of the last 5 games for the Clippers as well. So yeah, I think this might be a good game to back Kawhi Leonard here
Yep.
tonight. What else you got for this game?
Man, that was it. I was
Okay.
looking at some Looney rebound props. I think that the Clippers with is Zubac back?
He's not on the injury report, so I'm assuming he's playing here tonight.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I see some props out for him.
yeah, so I kind of like Looney to get a couple rebounds, but I didn't play it. The only thing I had played was just the Kawhi over 24.5 points. I'm kind of like I was kind of waiting for Jordan Poole because I was kind of on the fence. I know he's probable, but you know how the NBA injury report goes. I'm
Yeah,
trying to wait and see if I can pivot maybe to like a Ty Jerome, DiVincenzo points if Poole is out. I might go there anyway, but kind of
yeah,
just waiting for some more information.
yeah.
But
I did play
Kawhi was the
Divi.
only one that I had.
Yeah, I played DiVincenzo's threes here tonight, over two and
Okay.
a half.
Yeah.
I mean, he's shooting it real well, especially without Steph Curry in the lineup. He's provided some extra scoring boost for this Warriors team. He's shooting it at 48.6% over the last 5 games for the Golden State Warriors. He's knocked down 4 or more in 3 straight games for the Warriors as well. Over the last 5 games, he's averaging about 7 attempts per game. And he's averaging, like I mentioned, 3.4 makes over the last 5 games, where he's knocked down at least 4 in 3 straight games. In the earlier matchup this season against the Clippers, he scored 8 points in that game, but in 23 minutes. So I think that you'll see some more minutes here tonight for Dante, especially without, like I mentioned, Steph Curry in the lineup. He hit 2 threes in that game earlier this season against the Clippers in actually both of those games. So he's getting up more attempts at 2.5. I backed this on when they played the Portland Trailblazers. I believe he knocked down 5 in that game. That came fairly easily, so I think that he can continue that here tonight against the Clippers.
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Anything else?
Nah, that's all. That's all I have for that game.
All right. So let's get into our picks here for tonight, Delonte. Lock and dog. Again, only 4-game schedule here tonight in the association. You want to lead us off with your lock and dog?
Yeah, sure. I have it's the I'm looking at this screen right now. For somebody is steaming Indiana. It's up to 6 now, so that's weird. But the lock, I like San Antonio plus 1.5 in the first quarter. I would probably take the money line also. Just you can get +1. You can get plus 130. I see. So I would pivot to plus 130 instead of playing the plus 1.5. Just better bang for your buck. Spurs 6-4 ATS first quarter. Went over the Indiana numbers 1943 ATS in the first quarter. I think San Antonio is going to come out to play it in the first quarter, and then they'll resort back to tanking in the second half or the later 3 quarters. So I like that play a lot. As for the dog, I'm going to go back to Washington. I like some of the things that Washington does at home. I think they're +2 right now. I would take the money line on them also. Just it's just better. It's just a better play, I think, for plus money versus a +2. Because if they're gonna cover the +2, they're gonna win the game. I think that's just how I feel about home dogs, especially. So I like the Wizards. I think they can be able to get in and get some shots in the paint against the Toronto defense, who's weak inside. They don't defend well. They don't defend the perimeter well. They don't defend the paint well. Porzingis being back, I think it opens up some things for Bradley Beal, also for Kyle Kuzma on the driving lane. So like the Washington Wizards +2.
All right. For my lock, I am gonna go. I want to back the Clippers here tonight. I think they do get the victory and break their losing streak. I'm gonna go. Both my picks are gonna be the same game. I'm gonna in the Toronto Washington game. I'm gonna take the first quarter over.
Oh yeah.
In that game as my lock. Let me see what that current number is over on Win Bet. But we talked about it with the Wizards at home in the first quarter, 7-3 of the last 10 games at home towards the over. Last 5 games, 4-1, and then since the All-Star break in 3 games, they're 3-0 to the over in that first quarter. Currently seeing that number at 57.5. So I think that we'll maybe see some pace early on, and the offense starts to really click for the Warriors in that for the Wizards in that first quarter. So I think that they can definitely get over this number of 57.5. So I will go with that as my lock here for tonight. For my dog, I'm gonna go with the player prop. I talked about Jakob Poeltl and how good he's just been on the defensive side of the basketball for the Toronto Raptors. Since he joined this team, he's gone over 2.5 steals and blocks combined in, I think it's 5 out of the 6 games or 6 out of the 7 games. Let me see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so 6 out of the 7 games he's had over 2.5 steals and blocks combined, including 6 straight. And in some of these games, he's had 5, 6, 5, where he's gotten over this number. So I think this is a good opportunity against this Wizards team for him to, get some steals, block some shots here. And again, they're not very good at defending the center position either. So I think that he should be in line for some rebounds here tonight as well. So if you want to also play his double-double here tonight, I don't hate that. I think that he can definitely get 10 rebounds here tonight. He's also been putting the points for the Raptors as well. His double-double here tonight's at plus 210. So big Jakob Hurdle game here for me tonight. So officially, I'll go over 2.5 steals and blocks combined at plus 155. All right, that is going to do it for this edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast for this Thursday episode. Anything else here tonight, Delonte, we need to mention before we get out of here?
Nah, man. I think it's if Embiid plays, I think it's gonna be a pretty good game on TNT. Pretty good doubleheader.
If Embiid plays, I'm laddering his points probably up to 50.
For real?
I think this man, at least 40, man. I think he's gonna have a big game here tonight because there's just who's gonna stop him on this Dallas roster? Like Dwight Powell? It's not happening.
No. Christian Wood might.
That's maybe, guy, but he's not even. He gets into foul trouble.
Rockets, Christian Wood.
He gets into foul trouble. I've seen it too many times, man.
Yeah, nah, I don't hate that. I'll probably be on him. I'll probably be on his rebounds.
Yeah, for sure.
Rebounds over. I'll probably try to look for like 15 plus, 16 plus, and get some plus money. Or, I mean, if we're making a case for that, we might as well just take his points and rebounds over.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that a lot. I mean, it's going to be a good game between Washington and Toronto too. I think that's going to be a slept-on game, a big game for both seeding purposes for both teams. So they're going to both bring it. I think it's going to be a high-level game also.
Yep. All right. We'll be back tomorrow as usual for the Friday games. Check out Terrell and Scott tomorrow. They'll cover the Friday games. Make sure to follow Delonte on Twitter at xxlanteXX. You can follow me on Twitter at SportsNerd824. Before you guys get out of here, smash that like button for us. And then also subscribe to the YouTube channel here for the NBA Gambling Podcast. And also follow us on Twitter at SGPNNBA. Like I mentioned, we'll be back tomorrow as usual for the Friday games. Till then, good luck with your bets here tonight. Let's break these books off and let it ride.